Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a review of the tier 10 Soviet heavy tank, the IS7. So this tank honestly is really widely feared on the battlefield. I remember when I first started playing this game, it was one of the tanks that I just, like, even now sometimes when I come across them, I just think, oh shit, just because it is so like well known and it is just such a devastating tank, especially when it's played right. And it's in, especially if a unit comes playing this tank, good luck, because most of the time, if a good driver, good tanker knows how to play this thing, it's just an absolute beast. Probably one of the best tier 10 heavy tanks out there if it's played correctly. But if it's played badly, which honestly most of the time it is, it's a bit shit. So just pay attention really if you do get one of these tanks. But this review is going to show you how you should play this thing and what its weaknesses are, and obviously try and get your hands on one if you can, as they are fantastic. But if not, I'm going to show you how to take them out. So the IS7, take a look into the engine first. Is the M50T engine with a horsepower of 1050, which gives it a specific power to weight ratio of 15.43 horsepower per ton, which is actually alright. It's quite nice. The only thing about this tank is the soft stats do ruin it a little bit. As you can see, the top speed is 60 kilometers an hour there. But honestly, you won't ever really reach 60 kilometers an hour. I'd say the tank normally stays at around 45 to 50 kilometers an hour if you're lucky, going on flat ground. That's on hard terrain and stuff like that, going through towns. On medium and soft terrain, you're going to do about 35 to 40 all the time, but going downhill you will exceed your 60 kilometer an hour speed limit and hit like 70 and stuff like that. And it is very good for ramming this thing. Obviously just don't go ramming Mouses, E100s and stuff like that. So reverse speed 15 kilometers an hour. Again, it's not too bad, but it's going in reverse really, so it doesn't really matter. Then the fire chance is 15%. Honestly, you don't get set on fire in this thing too much, but I do have firefighting on my crew and stuff like that, so even then, and I carry a fire extinguisher, so obviously it's always best just to carry one. The fire chance is quite low though, which is always a nice bonus. So this is probably the worst thing about this tank is the gun, which is the 130mm S70 gun, with a stock reload time of 13.7 seconds, which is very long really, for a gun that does 490 damage. The DPM on this tank isn't great. Aiming time 3.1 seconds. Again, it's atrocious. You're going to want to use a gun lane drive on this, but obviously this tank is best played right up in the opponent's faces. So if you can, the aim time doesn't really matter that much. Accuracy 0.4. Honestly, it's not like atrocious, but it's not good by any kind of the imagination. In fact, it's quite bad. But honestly, again, you're going to be up close and personal with this thing, so you don't really need to worry about the accuracy. Just don't try and fight anything at long range. Elevation, you have 18 degrees, so you can point the gun up nice and high to things above you, so you don't really have to worry about that. Depression 6 degrees. The depression's not that good. Honestly, you can make it work though. There is quite a few places where you can make that work, especially the turret armor on this tank is probably the best turret in the game, but we'll get into more of that in a bit. So the gun is a bit of a disappointment really with this tank, but that's really the only thing that does disappoint really. Track traverse 28 degrees a second, and the terrain resistances are 1.3 on hard, 1.8 on medium and 3.1 on soft. So obviously on hard ground you can probably reach about 45 to 50 kilometers an hour, but on soft terrain you're barely going to get above 20. Honestly, on soft terrain this thing turns so slow, and it's just so slow on soft terrain, so avoid it at all costs if you can. Then the turret, 400 meters view range, was actually quite nice really for a Soviet heavy tank. 400 meters is very nice actually. Rotation speed 25 degrees a second. Combining that with the 28 degrees of track traverse, you can swing the gun around fairly quickly. Just be careful because medium tanks and stuff like that, especially like the Object 140 T62A, it will just spin around you and tear you apart. Then the radio, 720 meter signal range, pretty much standard. Then the ammo racks. Obviously you've got a lot of little ammo racks in this thing, so just be very, very careful. The most annoying one, I'd say, obviously in the sides, you're going to get shot in the sides sometime in this thing, so just be careful. But the most annoying one is just in the pike nose, in the corners. So if you do come around a corner like that, or a super high pen TD is kind of like, if you're, I'd say, lower than them and they can fire down into them areas, your ammo rack's going to get destroyed straight away. I don't really have many occasions where my ammo rack gets damaged in this thing. Honestly, when it gets damaged, it just gets destroyed, so my turret just goes goodbye. I've been one-shotted quite a few times in this thing by Yag Panzers and stuff like that, so just be very, very careful. But I do use safe stowage and stuff like that, and you could use a wet ammo rack, obviously just to help decrease that a little bit. So then your crew members, you've got 5 crew in this. 4 of which sit in the turret, and the driver obviously sits in the hull. One thing about this tank as well, just be careful. If a Death Star or something like that hits you, or high explosive rounds hit you in the turret, it is going to kill 2 or 3 crew members, and stuff like that, so just be very, very careful. Always carry first aid kits and stuff. Also, if you get shot on the lower plate, your driver's going to die, unless if you get hit in the centre of the lower plate. So just be very, very careful. We're going to take a quick look into the shell velocity and stuff like that of the guns quickly. So 900 meters on your standard rounds, which isn't too good, but it's not absolutely atrocious. And it does carry AP, APCR and high explosive. The APCR rounds have 1125 meters a second, which isn't that good, to be honest, either. It's quite slow, to be honest, for an APCR round. But obviously I'm going to go more into the penetration, like the raw penetration, stuff like that of the guns, the ammo type, sorry, after this. Before we look into the armour. So again, the penetration on this tank, the gun, I said, does let it down, as you can see there as well. 250 standard penetration, which isn't very good at all. Obviously once you're up close and personal with these, with all the other tanks in the game really, as long as you aim for weak spots and stuff like that, you're going to be able to penetrate them. Obviously if not, you can load up some APCR rounds which have 303 penetration, which is going to be enough really to go through pretty much everything in the game. Yeah, APCR rounds are fairly nice. They are quite expensive though, so just be warned. Then you have 68 penetration on your high explosive round, which is actually quite nice, and 640 damage. Because this is a 130mm gun, you can use high explosive quite effectively in this thing. And you can roll up to 800 damage on high explosive rounds, which is just absolutely insane. The highest roll I've had with the high explosive round was like 760, I think. And it's just absolutely absurd. So we'll take a quick look into the armour, which is probably the best thing about this tank. First of all, we're just going to talk about the turret. The IS7's turret is widely regarded as the best turret in the game, really. As you can see, it says it's only 240mm, which it is. 240mm, but, and the big but is, it is stupidly well rounded, if you can see, and nothing is going to pen the front of your turret at all. Absolutely nothing, so there's nothing really to worry about. This is probably the only tank I can confidently say, yeah, just stick the turret out and you'll be fine. Even the cupolas on this thing, which I will show you in a second. So yeah, the turrets, the cupolas, sorry, as you can see, they are so tall, and in fact the hull comes up and above them, especially the right one. You're not going to be able, the left cupola, sorry. Yeah, you're not going to be able to hit that one. You're not really going to be able to hit any of the cupolas of this thing. So honestly, if an IS7's hull down, I wouldn't even bother shooting it, unless you're just going to fire high explosive rounds. And even then, the turret armor's quite thick, so you won't do much damage anyway, but you might destroy the gun and kill some crew members, which is quite helpful. But obviously just be very, very careful when shooting this thing's turret, because you're never really going to penetrate it. The only thing is, if you're shooting down on top of it, that hatch on the back is only like 30 to 40mm, so you can just like overmatch it really. If you're like this, you can just be able to penetrate it. Obviously the hull of this tank is also very, very strong. It carries the pike nose from the IS3 and the T10. However, this pike nose is crazily well armoured. As you can see, the sloping on it is just absolutely insane. Nothing's going to penetrate it really, especially if you're using your gun depression and you can cover the lower plate. I would confidently say nothing's going through the upper plate at all. If you're below it, kind of like that, and you can only see the upper plate, as you can see the angles are just stupid. Don't bother shooting it. I would never really say bother shooting for the upper plate unless the IS7 is angling. However, if you're an experienced IS7 driver, you would know from the IS3 and the T10 that if you angle, it makes the pike nose a lot weaker. Obviously it makes the other side of it, so the left side of the pike nose a lot stronger. The left side if you're facing forward from the tank. But looking at it now, the right side of the pike nose now is going to be impenetrable, and it's you're not going to be able to penetrate. It makes the armour a lot better. But the side closest to us, that is just makes it a lot flatter. But even if it's like that, you still need like 240, 250 plus penetration to penetrate it. The lower plate on this tank is quite weak. The further you get away from it, the weaker it is. It decreases the angling. But obviously the closer you are, this tank is quite low profile. And obviously the upper plate is stupidly strong, so don't bother shooting the upper plate. If this thing face hugs you, you're fucked really. But if you are close and you're brawling with this tank, and you are fairly tall, just be very careful. If you're, say, the same height as the IS7, you've got to fire down. If you fire down at the lower plate, it just makes the armour angling a lot more effective, so just be very, very careful. And even the IS7 can angle, I'd say, like that, and the pike nose is still pretty much going to be impenetrable, and the lower plate is still just going to be very, very hard to get through as well. We're just going to talk about like the shot trap and stuff like that on the side. So as you can see, that blue bar is spaced armour, and behind that you have 120mm of just sloped armour. So if you do hit that spaced armour bar just above the tracks, obviously you see the gap between the tracks and the spaced armour. If you can hit it in the side, hit it there, but if whatever you do, do not hit that spaced armour. Nothing is going to penetrate you. I've taken shots in the side from Jag Panzers, Object 268s and stuff like that, and it just doesn't do anything into the sides if it hits that shot trap. So honestly, just don't bother. If you can, aim for the obviously you've got to aim for the spot between the spaced armour and the tracks. That empty area, you're going to pen it every time. Just be aware, if you are trying to fight an IS7 and you are circling it in a medium tank, if you auto lock on, as you know, it auto locks onto the centre of mass, so it will auto aim into the spaced armour, and it's so frustrating when you're circling this thing and the shots just keep going into the spaced armour. So just be very careful, just take your time and shoot between the tracks and the spaced armour, and you're going to do damage quite consistently to the tank. So anyway, I think that is enough about the armour and stuff like that, and the statistics of the tank. What we'll do is we'll get into some gameplay and we'll come back and talk about it a little bit more. Hello guys, we are back in some gameplay in the IS7. The map is Malinovka. It is an encounter battle. So obviously, as I was stating in the garage, this tank is honestly, it is a beast. If played correctly, that is. I do find that most players who do get this tank don't really know how to play it, first of all, as did I when I first got this thing. I played absolutely atrocious in it, barely doing 2,000 damage a game, if that. So now you can see the speed of the tank. That 1050 horsepower does give it quite a bit of grunt, but the ground resistances just don't help it out at all. So you can see we're doing about 40 kilometers an hour, 41, 42. But obviously this tank, along with the E100, I would say, when new players start this game, they do tend to go for the IS7 and the E100 first, I've found, just because I think they're probably two of the most forgiving heavy tank lines in the game. Obviously the IS7, you've got so many tanks in the line, which is just fantastic. So you've got the KV1, which is obviously great, and it's a bit overpowered really for tier 5. You've got the KV1S as well, which you're going to need to get to this tank, which is the other tier 5 Soviet heavy tank. Is actually very nice as well. Then you move on to the KV85, which is actually quite a nice tank if you know how to play it properly. by the way. Do not use the 122mm gun, use the 100mm gun and you'll be better. Then the IS, which is probably the best tier 7 heavy tank, in my personal opinion. T29 didn't really do it for me. However, actually I do love the Tiger. It was one of the only tanks that I 3 marked in this game. And I did sit at 100% damage standing in it, and I still do sit in 100% damage standing on my other account, my Aeroplays What account that is. I'm at 100% damage standing for that tank. And then you move on to the IS3, which is again probably renowned as the best tier 8 heavy tank, which is where you are introduced to the Soviet pike nose, which again is what this tank has as well. Then you move on to the T10, which is probably renowned as one of the worst tanks in this line. Honestly, the T10 I think is great. Obviously the hull armor and stuff like that isn't that good, but it's like very, very mobile. So if you play it more of like a medium tank, you will have consistently better games in it. So as you can see now, we just made it to the top of the hill. You can see the mobility of the tank. Gun depression used here. Managed to snap a shot into the side of the WZ-131. Actually, very, very nice tank this is. So, from this position, they're not going to be able to shoot our lower plate and our upper plate, and our turret's just going to be showing, and it's going to be stupidly hard to penetrate, so we're pretty much unstoppable at the moment. You can see the DPM of this tank's not great at all. Even with all my cruise skills, we've still got 11-second reload. Here we go, here's the Jagdpanzer. I can confidently sit here and say, do you know what? Accuracy for you there. 563 damage. See, he ricocheted a heat round. The Jagdpanzer just ricocheted a heat round off our turret. Hit us right on our gun mantlet, however. He did, but that gun does have 420 penetration with its heat rounds. It just goes to show how thick the turret armor on this tank is. And it just goes to show that guy is just... You don't really need to fire heat in a Jagdpanzer, like really. But you know how it is. So I'm going to jump off the cap because I don't want this game to end super, super fast. I'm going to say negative. Honestly, games when it just ends like this, the teams don't really have a clue what they're doing and they'll just end the game. And it's just so frustrating when that happens. Got to be careful of that Jagdpanzer down there. If he hits our lower plate, he's got a very good chance of penetrating, and he probably will penetrate if he hits it. He will penetrate if he hits our lower plate, sorry. But if he hits anywhere else, our upper plate, he's got not much of a chance. I'm going to try and shoot his gun here. Oh, he's come up to the lower plate. And the accuracy, 0.4 accuracy there, just failed us. And he slams on into our T-32 for 1,068. This tank is also fantastic at face hugging. As you know, the turret is stupidly strong. So if you can face hug opponents in this thing, it is so, so, so strong. You can see the aiming time here, even with a gun lane drive, the aiming time is still not very good. Managed to put one into his cupola there, as the Lorraine manages to track us. This E5's got damage ammo. That's where I like the Eagle Eye perk, just because it allows me to take my time, and I know that he's going to be reloading, but even the light plate on that tank is stupidly overpowered. I'm going to show you some ramming here, as ramming is one of my favourite things to do in the game. 53 kilometers an hour, 54, 55, 56. We're going to get to our 60 kilometer an hour top speed limit, and we're going to ram the E5. We did 350 to him and didn't take that much in return. We took about 200 in return, 300 in return, sorry. As you can see now, our team's just going to cap the base, so just, you know, managed to destroy that IS5 there from a blind shot, which is quite nice. And I would love to reload in time to get this artillery, but unfortunately not. So as you can see, that was just a standard game really in the IS7. Obviously if we didn't cap the base, I probably would have been able to get quite a bit more damage in there. As you can see, 3,434 damage, sorry, 1,500 assisted and 1,050 damage blocked, and that was the Jagdpanzer's heat round. As you can see, 72,000 silver there, although it was 10,000 bonus. 2,686 experience. Managed to get my mark of excellence up to 88.36. And obviously we did 400 to that tank. I want to see how much we did that IS. Oh. So that blind shot we took on the IS5 was actually an ammo rack. We hit him for 1061 because we ammo racked him, which is also very, very nice. I would like to have seen that and like to see his turret go goodbye. But obviously that is our first game of the review, and obviously it's just a standard game. I'm going to try and get a better game for you now, but we'll be back when we're in our second game. Hello guys, and we are back for our second replay. The map is Airfield, it is War variant. So, also guys, just comment down below. The new Swedish premium tanks come out tomorrow with update 4.1, as well as the new German heavy tanks. So please like and comment down below if you would like to see videos on them really soon. Well, I'm going to be doing reviews of the Swedish premium tanks when they come out, just so people know if they want to get them or not. So that'll be my next video. Should be up tomorrow sometime. So on Airfield, I always like to push up to this little hilly area over here. I literally always go here. I never go round to the big hill in the middle. Never ever really go there unless I'm in a light tank. So as you can see, the mobility of the IS7 now, doing about 20 kilometers an hour uphill here. Normally when you're up here you do face a crazy amount of tanks, but to be honest, the enemy team in this game didn't really know what they were doing. No offense to you guys, but pretty much none of their tanks went to this area here. They all just kind of base camped and went down to around the J7 area. You'll see that a little bit later though in the replay. This isn't a crazily high damage game either. It's just kind of like a standard game, what you can expect to have pretty much every game in the IS7. So Death Star, snap a shot into the turret roof and pull back. Do not want to take a hit from him. So you pull forward to get behind this rock to get some cover. Here's where I make a mistake as well in a second. Try and look for another shot on the Death Star. Can't get one, but here I'm overexposing myself to the guys on the left. So if you can see that tank, them two tank destroyers up in B0, sorry. Let's take a blind shot of the E5, miss. Pull forward, we see the grille. So I'm trying to hug this rock. There we take a shot from one of the tank destroyers on the left. Go around for the grille. He puts one into us as well. So there goes half our health already. That is two silly mistakes just like that. So now push down. Doing 50 kilometers an hour. We need to get rid of this grille as soon as possible. So me, this Batchat and T10 are all just pushing up. I do kind of stop for a second because I know there's that Jagdpanzer up there, and I know if I push round he's going to plug a shot into the side and then probably take me out. So I auto aim there, trying to take a shot into the side of the Jagdpanzer. Unfortunately it doesn't work out and we just ricochet off him. As you can see now, all their enemy tanks are just all sat in the same kind of general area. So I push round, I know he's just fired, I know that T10's gone up there to go and get him. Nearly got a shot there, and he gets taken outside. I'm like, oh, should I push around here? Decide to come back round again, just to push on this Jagdpanzer. Our friendly T110E5 is also coming over here, on his way. So the gun depression, the 6 degrees of gun depression. Put one into his lower plate. Don't want to stay up there really, because he's going to put one back into us. E5 pushes up. Puts a shot in. And then we come up and finish him off straight for the lower plate. So now we see that Death Star and the Waffenträger Alpha Panzer IV is over on the other side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and push up a little further so that Death Star can't hit me in the side. Just push up behind these buildings. Try and get some nice shots in. So you see the 100. Aim for his lower plate. And the shot goes low. That's the .4 accuracy for you there. Now we're going to push over for that Death Star again. So here is very, very risky. I eat a shot on the side and I missed two shots. I dodged there. This is probably one of the most. This is definitely the most intense situation of the game in a second here, with me trying to fight this Death Star. As you can see, 54 kilometers an hour going now. So I push up. I don't think he's up there, so I keep pushing. I go way farther out, and he's actually up there. He comes round, plug one into him, damages his fuel tank, sorry. Pull back, he's going to come for me. He's going to get me here, surely. Nope. So if he would have pushed round, he probably would have been able to kill one of us then. He stops again. I plug a shot into him, and the E5 takes him out. It's a good result there. We're up to 5 penetrations and a kill. Again, 5 penetrations doesn't sound like a lot, but once you're doing 500 damage a shot, that's 2,500 damage nearly. Take out the Carnarvon for our second kill. Just got to be careful for that artillery. T92 HMC on their team. So we come round. There he is. T92's behind us. Let's spin it round. This could have been a very silly mistake for me sitting out in the open, but we managed to take him out of one shot. Nice roll there on the gun. A little bit higher than average, just means we can take him out in one shot. So now they have 5 tanks left, and we are losing. We win it. We've only lost 4. Sorry. So there's the enemy 100. Again, snapshot into his upper plate. That was never going to pen. Eat one from the FV215B. Also, guys, FV215B review and the Chieftain review will be coming out very soon as well. Take a shot on the T10. Managed to take him out. So now we're just hiding behind this rock. We just don't want to pop out. That FV215B is going to be able to hit us. There you go. Destroys our track. Rain for the E100. Plug one into the side of his turret. 491 damage done to him. 2 tanks left. E100 and the FV215B. So the FV215B tracks us. We put one into him. 493 damage that time. It's just that E100 left. And at this point, I don't know why, but our team is just still sat on the base. Managed to push. It was lucky that ricocheted, but then penetrate the back of his turret. 34 seconds left of the game. And we're just rushing this guy. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, and he managed to take him out just before the game ends. That was a victory, guys. So in this game, we got 84,000 silver, 2,136 XP, 4 destroyed vehicles, 4,876 damage done, 150 blocked, 1,200 assisted, 12 penetrations. As you can see, that's kind of just like an average game really for the IS7. I hope you enjoyed this review, guys. Please like, comment and subscribe. Please don't forget to comment down below for which tank you would like to see me review next. Thanks. It's been Error, and I'm out.